risk, what risks are sitting out there that you mitigate? Whether it's technology, revenue, that you're at risk of, something. What about regulatory risk? About data backup? What about, is the company sitting here on the precipice that you got fixed and made it or something like that?
Okay.
I'll ask them about their competition and what does their competition do better than they do, and is there some technology that we can bring in to help level that playing field or put you in front of them? Maybe they're utilizing certain technology that you're not. That's what
You guys, these are good questions. These are good open-ended questions. I think, and the key to the exercise is to make sure, once again, it's a matter of differentiation. You're not asking the same questions everybody else does. Right? I think that's important, to continue differentiation along as you're giving them your value prop that you need to hear 7 times, as you're holding them accountable and setting expectations for how this relationship's going to work. What questions are you asking them that play off the things you've already had discussions about and where you want to go in terms of explaining why Acton's different? And some of these are good questions to ask in terms of this process, right? How does increasing network uptime ensure continued growth in profit or revenue? Right? It's a simple formula with some good words that lead to business-focused questions that you guys can solve with technology. You guys know how to do that. That's what you're being paid. That's your value add, right? Help them tie a business problem to a technology answer. That, at the end of the day, is what's in it for them. That's what we're trying to do. And we do that by asking the right questions. So it sounds like you guys have a good hold on that. If you'd like, we can move on. I'll just send you a slide.
Another question.
Phil got us up to date on that.
I think that we need to ask, at least I've learned, I mean, I've always known this, but something I plan on working on big time here is right out of the gate, just asking what management, or you've been in this size of organization, who's your C-level champion, who's your management champion with this, and can we go ahead and get them involved in this process? Because a lot of times the IT directors you're dealing with are, they don't have the...
Can't say yes.
They can't say yes. I mean, they can say yes, but they can't, but...
We're not getting paid on it.
Yeah, I ain't getting paid on people saying yes.
Yeah.
Or you're relying on them, they want your solution, but it might be more expensive than the next guy. So you're relying on them to sell you their C levels and...
Arming them with enough information to convey that to a C-level person. They're not, like to Trevor's point, they're not in sales. So you sound great in front of them. A day later, 2 days later, a week later, when they're in front of a C-level person trying to resell it to that C-level person, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's like Eddie Murphy used to say, people go, they see my stand-up routine, and then they go back to work the next day and try to tell my jokes, and they screw it all up.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know, you said you laid out a great argument on why they should spend an extra, $10,000 on your solution. IT director goes in and tries to say the same thing, and it sounds like
Joel, what were you going to say, Joel?
Well, the one thing I was going to say, for at least talking to executives, and Mike brought up a thing on risk, I've found that one of the things before you get to the risk point is understanding what's critical to the way they operate day to day. I mean, what things are critical? Some of it may be technology-wise, some of it may be completely unrelated, but it could be our customer service is what we rely on to do X. So that can lead you to what risks are there in their collaborative environment. We rely on, if our email server's offline, we can't do business, we can't ship orders. Our EDI goes down, we can't do this. Then you look to expose risk that exists within those things that are core. Because IT people might tell you where they're at risk. The executives may or may not know. They're probably not going to just come out and tell you where they're at risk. So you just kind of have to understand where you need to look for risk and then point those things out. Does it make sense? That's all I was going to say.
Building pipeline within a company, identifying that risk, understanding what technologies can help alleviate that risk, but then looking into, you guys have all these different circles on the board, looking at something like a business video. Once you've identified that risk, next good question to follow that up was, how are you going to grow? How are you going to make things easier for you? There's not a risk there without business video, but how are you going to grow for the future to be a stable company? So kind of going to the like to haves down the road, kind of building that roadmap with them, I think when you're on that planning stage, you've built that trust, asking those next questions of, okay, we understand your risk, we understand your IT environment. There's other technologies that we provide that can help you grow as an organization, not only help you stay afloat, but move on up. And those are business video, those are, mobility and different things that will build that pipeline within, an organization you've already sold to or plan on selling one project, just kind of expanding that. So you see that a lot where people just get focused on, okay, they're doing a core upgrade, Go up, you've earned that trust for them to talk to you about spending money with you. Branch out, show them the other circles, ask questions, get a little bit deeper within that company.
Let's go throw in there, guys. When you deal with the C-level, and if they're an MBA, they ask themselves the question of, how does this differentiate my business? How does this make me money? How does this save me money? C-levels are stewards of the company. At the end of the day, for them, it's all about money. Risk is a huge part, but it's how does it differentiate my business? How does this make me money? How does this save me money? At the end of the day, they don't care if they're running on a Linux operating system or a Microsoft operating system. How does it make my business different? Can I save money? Can I make money? So you have to think about that a little bit, because that's a different mindset than the IT director or the HR or the ops person or the sales manager. That C-level person is constantly, those are the MBA 101. Those are the three things they constantly have running through their head.
And guys, we are now wholly transitioning from, I made the cold call, where I work with my bus riders, to get the warm introduction. I've explained what AtNet does and why AtNet's different, right? I've labeled the things that we can help them with. I've asked the qualifying questions to understand there's an opportunity. Now I'm going to take that opportunity to try to do the sales cycle, right? And these questions are about understanding, to your point, how that pain point he gave us, or she gave us, we're now going to expand into an actual business case that's substantial enough for us to engage all our resources and start doing our dance, right? So we're now in a different part of this. So, but again, I think you guys have a pretty good handle on the fact that we need to ask those questions and how you can differentiate yourself, which I'm excited to hear.
Well, these questions that we're showing examples of are very good examples of open-ended questions you can ask, where you always want to, I believe, start a conversation with that. If you don't know a specific pain they're having, start open-ended and narrow it down till you get to a specific pain point, and then have them substantiate that pain if you can. If they're willing to do that, what does this cost you?
What does it mean?
How does it impact your business? What does it mean? And then from that, you can begin to re-engineer the vision a little bit. What if you were able to do this?
Yep.
Would that save you time?
Yep. All right, so we talked a lot about we have not talked a lot about qualifying cold calls yet. On there, I've got Maniac T. I don't care what process you guys use. I don't care what you call it. I just need to make sure we have one, right? And we'll do the less important one first, in my opinion. But there has to be some sort of repeatable, consistent process that you guys use to qualify your opportunities, to decide where you're spending your time. Talk about how you build your day, how you build your week, how you build your month, how you have that little spider sense that's always coming back to where you are in relation to your funnel, to your pipeline, to your number, and the type of activities that needs to be driving. When you're looking at actually spending time with a new customer or prospect, an existing customer or prospect, can you tell me who has the money, who's got the authority to spend the money, per Jason's comment, what their need is? Those are all relatively easy. What the impending event is that makes that need worthwhile, right? How often do we find an opportunity, find an IT director who says it's ready to go, and then only wait to find there's no purchase order? Because there truly isn't a compelling or an impending event that forces the business to act, like Michael just said.
Or not even that, but there's so much stuff on the back end with the financial department.
Yeah, what priority is it?
That has to be gone through, that you get a verbal yes, and again, like we said earlier, we don't get a yes.
We'll get there in here. I'm thinking literally, I want a new phone system. I need a new phone system. Why? Well, because this one's going to break. It's 10 years old. Okay, what happens if it breaks? Well, we're up shit creek. Okay, is that enough of a reason for people to move? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they need to find a new corporate headquarters. They need to open a new site. They need to have a merger and acquisition. There needs to be something else happening, external to anything we can create, right, that moves them forward. Do we also understand the application of our technology? How does this impact you? How does it save you money? Do we know who the competition is and the time frame of all of these steps? That's Maniac T. That's a qualification method. Take 2 of them, take 3 of them, change the words, come up with your own acronym. It doesn't matter.
Are you sending this out?
I can, yes. Well, I mean, it's on your sheet.
The whole thing is?
Yeah. If that would, I mean, this is the, where am I spending my time? This is the, is this deal real? Did I quantify it? And I qualify it? Is this a cold call? Is this, I mean, you guys get that, right? Just, it's a process that I think asks some very good questions. And this, you should be able to answer the majority of these before you decide to go cannonball into the deep end of the pool. This one is actually a sales process. This is the one that has been ingrained into my head, and therefore, again, it is not right, it is not wrong, it is simply my way of doing it, my style. I trust that you each have one similar to this. If not, I'm going to describe in detail mine. Medic. What is the metric by which we're going to judge the success of this project? Great question. Hey, Mr. IT Director, 6 months from now, how will you know this project has been a success? What specifically will define this as a success? What's the metric they're going to use? E's for economic buyer. This is very hot with Jason right now. You keep hearing it come up. Who can say yes? Who can sign yes? CEO, CFO, board, mothership over in Germany that has to bless every project over $500,000? Literally, who is the economic buyer? I don't care who your relationship's with. I don't care who your champion is yet. I don't care who has given you a verbal. Who can say yes? Let's identify that. Decision process. What does the process look like to get to that person? Well, the IT director agrees and then submits a purchase requisition. That flows up to the CFO, it sits on his desk, he approves it, it then gets reviewed at the quarterly board meeting, which is the last Friday of every 3rd month, and then they allocate the capital, then it goes back through purchasing, it hits accounts receivable, and gets to you 3 weeks later. That is a purchase process, a decision process. That is why we, and trust me, this is the proverbial we, my team is not a lot better at it, neither am I. That's why we miss forecasts. We don't understand the decision process. This deal could be technically closed, done, finito. We don't have a purchase order. And we miss for that reason.
And now, sometimes you'll know the steps, but you don't ask the follow-up question. How long does that take?
We have happy years, guys.
Yeah.
We hear one thing we like, and it's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. This will get done next week. Mr. IT Director will get done. Great, thank you. And we don't ask any more questions. Because he told us exactly what we want to hear. On to the next one, right? And there we are 2 weeks later, banging down his freaking door. Because he's all of a sudden gone radio silent because he realized he overstepped his boundaries, or his project, the budget got wiped out, or he just doesn't have an answer for you. And he knows that we're kind of up shit creek now, because we've committed up the chain. And he doesn't want to let us down. Right? We're buddies. We built a good relationship there. And now he's got to come back and say, oh, sorry, Dave. It's going to be another month or 2. That can, you know, I mean, that's the biggest reason why we miss the decision process. Decision criteria is the second D. It is perhaps my favorite one. And it's the one I'll challenge you guys on. Get to become that top 5%. Can you effectively not only understand the decision criteria of the customer, but can you alter it? That's selling, in my opinion. It is not showing up with a better widget, or a faster widget, or a less expensive widget. It's understanding how to get into the middle of a deal and alter their decision criteria to fit your strengths. We'll talk more about that one in a little bit. I is identify pain. Nothing gets done without pain. I'm a firm believer that people might run towards pleasure, but they stop and they hesitate. They will run a hell of a lot faster away from pain. Think about any decision, even in your own personal life.